spectating a game. Hello, game. Okay. Uh, yeah. Just found out that it was going on. So again, sorry if I'm late to the party. Kind of hard. With the computer, I have to stay ahead of everything every time, but we will make it work. Uh, yeah. We will have a YoggYogg and Bu Boi against Penny and SSP. So very nice game for us to watch. And we shall see what they decide to do. We might lose on wave one, and I'm sorry for that. Alright, we do see the king ups being done. And wave one is done. We are on wave two. Okay, so we missed out on wave one. Doesn't seem to have a leak though. We did have 5 worker for everybody except SSP. So let's focus on what is the starter. Yaga going for a Daphne start, Bu Boi going for a Zoo start, Penny going for an Infiltrator Warg start, and SSP going for the Badger start. So, I mean, all of those starts are pretty safe on 3. I would say that the Zeus is the most susceptible uh, on wave 3, but with good positioning can do very well. SSP has the slowest start, but does have a pierce damage to uh, accompany this Badger that is quite tanky. Either going for, well, possibly going for a False Maiden here would be the better play for him. Does he have enough though? No, he doesn't have enough for that unless he gets the 40 here and he gets exactly enough. And he does get it. So False Maiden in the split. You have two choices. Either you put it in front, either you put it in the split. I much prefer have this inverted, like this Badger on the right wall and the Maiden on the right wall, um, with the same split, just because the aggro is a bit better, I think, and I feel. But this positioning works pretty well as well. So YoggYogg going for some incoming to Penny, SSP being saved on. Um, well, being saved on, it's normal, considering the units he has. That's wave 4 is more of an option. Seeing the false maiden will go for income. Bu Boi does manage to hold with a Zeus and a Washroom in the split. Daphne seemed safe and does and is safe. Penny does leak here, even though he had Infiltrator, Warg, and Consort. Too much, yeah, so only Lizard leak. Too much nature defense, it looks like. So sorry I didn't catch that. And who comes out of the on top of that? So Yargo pushing to 7 workers because he has Daphne. He does have a good tank option in the Royal Guard on wave 5. And also can do a Zeus for wave 6. I believe he does have enough if he doesn't get sent. He does get sent here. Will be a hold. He might push to 8 workers and thus not be able to reach the Zeus. So going for frontline here to let the time for the Daphne to do the damage. Bu Boi going for a large income send onto his SP, and oh wait, the Fiend is not going onto the split here. He does have the Red Mask, and so the Red Mask will not be denied long, since the Fiend is not attacking it. Penny receiving a 20 recent does have the Consort, will be safe here. Yogg is looking safe here. The Lizard is onto the Daphne already though, and might kill the Daphne. No, the Daphne should be able to live and kill the Lizard with the help of the Peewee. Or, oh my god, this was a one hit away. Very slow waves, and very slow waves does benefit the highest workers, YoggYogg and Bu Boi, unless they get a reset here. 9 workers on Yogg is quite aggressive. It was 7 before the start of this wave. Will not receive a reset. And so we'll be safe here. On 9 workers, you will prepare wave 6 with the Zeus that we discussed. Or will he? What? I mean, the Zeus, I believe is the right play for wave 6. If you expect wave 6. Uh, yeah, I think this is the correct play to go at least for the bazooka. And if you don't want to go for wave 6 defense, since Bu Boi is looking pretty strong on wave 6, you might just leave that bazooka as is and prepare for wave 7, which is your problematic wave with the units he has. Penny does receive 100 here, but does have the Orchid, meaning that he will be able to push quite a lot here. Pushing to 8 workers, does he go to 9? He does go to 9 workers here, catching back up onto YoggYogg and Bu Boi. Yogg leaking here, not having the perfect front line here. And the bazooka tanking instead of the Daphne, the boss here, not ideal. So that's the sad part of it. If you don't have the Zeus, the bazooka will go up front of the Daphne. But if you put it one full square behind, then the Daphne will be tanking for it. But he does go for the Zeus, expecting the wave 6 due to the leak. But having 2 Zeus here on Bu Boi and 1 Zeus on Yogg, not receiving on 6 makes them very vulnerable on wave 7, which appeared to be the initial plan for both Penny and SSP. Penny very strong on wave 6 with the Orchid, Bu Boi going full income, YoggYogg keeping his Mythium and putting pressure on Penny on wave 7, but he is sending on wave 7 with SSP. If SSP leaks here, it's only bonus time for the mole that Penny probably wants to get. If he doesn't reach the mole, possibly going only for a Cannoneer. But here the Red Mask just tanking the perfect amount for SSP and just surviving barely, meaning that he will be able to hold. He will have a Tantrum Mask next wave, and wave 7 comes with the moles. Moles before income for both Penny and SSP. So very worthwhile for them. And YoggYogg forced to income send here. So a lot of income from the Polish and a lot of non-income sends from Penny and SSP. So what this results in is, of course, a natural income lead from Bu Boi and YoggYogg per Mythium used. And so in the late game, in the long run, YoggYogg and Bu Boi will probably have more gold due to that fact. But that is only true if they manage to hold a lot of sense here. So the mold here got sniped from... okay, the mole sniped on the side of Yogg. And the mole is still alive and now getting targeted here by the final Zeus. Will the mole survive here? No. Oh yes, it will, just barely. But Penny leaking to the income send here as well. Due to having the Orchid. The boosted veteran doing a lot of work here from YoggYogg, not leaking that much. Despite not having the perfect units here, but it's still 20 gold that he decided to use for that matter. So worker lead from YoggYogg, sitting at 11 workers, now 12. But Penny and SSP both strong at 10 workers here. Will have income sent from both YoggYogg and Bu Boi, trying to increase this income lead. But let's see what their build is. We do see a flaw in the builds on wave 9 for both Bu Boi and YoggYogg, but the new Zeus is not to be underestimated on wave 9 because of the increased magic damage that it does. So despite having wave 9 reduce the range DPS, it is still a very good unit due to that fact here. So income sense yet again onto Penny and SSP. But SSP only receiving a lizard. But the Orchid here is very strong, as well as the Elite Archer. And receiving this 100 cent here on Penny does mean that he does not fear wave 9 as much as he was. But the mold from Bu Boi here first, non-income send from them, and only income from YoggYogg. So YoggYogg trying to scale. Penny is saving here, not joining SSP on wave 9. And what was a flaw at first from YoggYogg has been covered by a boar. Having enough time for this Daphne and Zeus to kill the wave will possibly be enough. Looking at the values, close to value, over value for Bu Boi. And low worker waiting for the send of Penny before pushing workers. But will that be a long save from Penny here? He's keep receiving some income sends here. So if he decides to not push here, and he might go 12 or even 11. Okay, so he decides to push, so this might point towards him sending on 10. But I mean, a send on 11 is not out of the question, despite having Bu Boi on an LOD here, because you can still send against that. YoggYogg leaking massively, still pushing workers, SSP pushing is leaking as well though, but a little bit more than YoggYogg due to all this mask, meaning that all the things are super low, but it will be covered in the middle by Penny quite easily. But Bu Boi covering as well on the side. We do have approximately an equal amount of gold distributed amongst the leaks. It's all about the workers, and now Bu Boi is sitting at 9, sitting at a lot of value. Building for 11, he's gonna leak massively here. You see the board here very good on 11, and stuff like that. The resend also on SSP, frontline to try and buy time against those Daphnes before attacking the boss. No real frontline except that board. So he might get surprised by that. And YoggYogg saving while Bu Boi is income sending onto SSP, and SSP will be able to push out of that if he holds. He does have the front line, does have the Elite Archer. Sadly, the boss will not go towards the mask before going on the Elite Archer, so not more time before it reaches it. So it will be a leak on SSP. What will it be on YoggYogg and Bu Boi? Bu Boi is leaking very big, and YoggYogg is not covering, or barely cover. Oh, he kills us boss at least. So he will be happy with that, allowing him to push. SSP leaking a little to the income send as well. But overall, who comes out on top here? We have a total of 30 workers on both teams, but the difference is that YoggYogg is the one with the most pressure here with 19 workers. Well, Bu Boi does push now, having the value already for this wave, and now the worker lead is definitely on the side of YoggYogg and Bu Boi. Is it at the cost of any value? He does take sacrifice on both Bu Boi and YoggYogg, so giving them extra gold to push and also hold, keeping themselves close to value. YoggYogg is still under despite taking the sacrifice. Penny going for a... Wait, what's that dino after income here? Okay, sacrifice on Penny. Okay, so the send here on Penny, I expect it was before income. Penny shifting some gold here, so... And not sending full either. And now Yogg sending on wave 12 here. Okay, I can see why. The centaur will be onto the split here. Killing the split is very important here. He does have decent front line, but the orchid, even if it boosts, even if it is boosted, it will not do that good. Bu Boi going for income only, so YoggYogg going for the break, while Bu Boi trying to scale back up into the game. And he does push even more workers. to join up on YoggYogg at 19 after receiving that single dino. So they are only very little under. Huge income lead on the side of YoggYogg and Bu Boi. And now you wonder, where does SSP and Penny go? Now they receive the Sen. So it's all a question of how the Centaur does, because oh wait, the mold is on the side of the Centaur as well. The Trinity Archer does do a very good job on half the wave. Now focusing on the other half. And SSP does hold. Penny will only leak the Centaur for what it looks like, or maybe a small amount of the wave. No, all the wave will be cleared, and only the Centaur will go. Or will the Centaur leak? Wait, who's winning one-on-one on that one? Okay, the Centaur will win, so only the Centaur leak, but a very low Centaur, almost a clear last second with the less shots. And now we are back into an even worker game, but not an even income game. And so yes, the maximum advantage is on the side of Penny and SSP, but the value will definitely be on the side of YoggYogg and Bu Boi, and they do decide to go for king ups here, trying to resist the next sand. And surprisingly, it is not wave 13. So let's see, the value is still worrying. Well, it's still okay on Bu Boi. It's still going down on YoggYogg minus 200 now. It does have a very good composition on the following waves, and even on 14 it does have the boars to tank. On 15 it does have the boar again to tank. Do have a lot of veterans, and those magic damage from the Zeus is very good as well. So still no sense. Uh, more Zeus. Uh, and they might decide to go for a 14 cent seeing the LD. I wouldn't be that surprised for that, despite having a decent frontline in the boards, because apart from that, the frontline is pretty uh, weak, even though it's a veteran. And so yeah, we decide a last second send here on this wave. And so will they read that correctly? So we do have a red eye. I think overall it's the correct play to try and have a front line at least, because this is what Bu Boi need, a decent front line, and that boar is what allows him to have it. Okay, that's interesting. Uh, okay. Well, the board does not have 0 DPS, don't worry about that. But still no use on the sacrifice here, so still feeling confident on the amounts of unity they have. They're probably saving it to get rid of that canopy and one of the veterans, so we will see. But they have decent composition here, so they might be able to hold, but the front line is gone for YoggYogg, so it's all a question of can the Daphne's delay long enough? And no, the Zeus's damage is not that great. If it is not increased by a Pegasus or a Starcaller, it's so good leaks. But is that enough? They will take the King HP advantage. Do they take the worker lead? And they have the worker lead. YoggYogg and Bu Boi deciding not to push, waiting the 2 times worker after 15. And so they want to try and be overvalued on 15, absorb the next sand from Penny and SSP, and push worker hard after that, skip one wave, and go on the next wave. So 30% HP remaining on YoggYogg and Bu Boi. In terms of gold on the board, we still have the huge advantage for YoggYogg and Bu Boi, despite them taking a lot of king damage. And we do see that in the power score as well. So even though Penny and SSP do win the pressure game, they did take a lot of punishment in their value. Now it's an other question of if they can first read that they didn't push workers and choosing the right wave to send on. And honestly, they're kind of stuck to sending on 16, right? Because 17 is not really an option against those boars. Uh, But at the same time, you look at the composition and you say, yeah, it's pretty good on 16, pretty good on well, 16 is debatable, right? But you have the Hades on the Bu Boi with a Star Cutter, so that's a lot of summons. You're looking at 17, doesn't really work either because of the front line here. But the damage is not that great on Bu Boi. So they might aim for 17. So it will be interesting to see when they decide to go. And nobody is sending here. Wow. So, I mean, will they have enough value to hold 17? I mean, everybody is preparing 17 right now. But SSP is the strongest here. Very weak on the next wave, though. So Penny building those Samurai Soul, but will they be enough here? But Bu Boi very far under. But it is YoggYogg that is very far ahead of everybody with decent frontline and decent damage on 17. And still no use on the sacrifice here on both YoggYogg and Bu Boi. Alright, so does the play to not push after the send they received on 14 will save them here? So here it's all a question of will the frontline from YoggYogg and Bu Boi last a long time? And Penny and SSP going for income here, realizing they cannot break them here. I mean, they could. I mean, there was a slight chance that they could have. But now going for king ups, trying to extend the game. But it's not looking pretty. I think their goal was to probably go 18, but they needed YoggYogg and Bu Boi to go for 16. But this didn't happen, and so the long save from YoggYogg and Bu Boi allowed them to have some pressure here. But that's a lot of mask from SSP here, but doesn't have a frontline to speak of to protect those masks. Oh no, no, oh, that was a bug. Yeah, that was a bug. That was a mask bug right under our eyes here. And you see the equal size sands here. And Bu Boi might leak here despite having a decent frontline because he has no damage for that wave. But YoggYogg will be holding. SSP is leaking as well. They do have full king attack and full king spell, so I believe that it will be fine. It is immolation, so all those low creeps will die pretty fast. Penny is doing a pretty good job at clearing, but we do have a hold from both YoggYogg and Bu Boi, and a leak from SSP and Penny. So the no push into the long save was the correct play from YoggYogg and Bu Boi, exploiting the fact that they had the better income in the early game and try to put the pressure after wave 15 where they wanted. So it will be interesting to see where people decide to go. Will it be 16? Will it be 19? Sorry, 19 SSP is pretty strong. It cannot. Can it be 20? Okay, so here's a no. It cannot be because it has a star cutter with Pegasus, but a lot of mana units, so very hard to call here what will be the wave. YoggYogg preparing for 19, Bu Boi preparing for 19. What are Penny and SSP doing here? Trying to see what Penny built. Okay, Penny is building right now. Building for 20 and not 19. And SSP is building for 19 here. Okay, so the goal here for Penny and SSP is to go for wave 20. They see an opportunity to league them on 20, but they need to survive 19. And that relies on how well SSP will do with his mask. He needs to spam those bucklers, and they need to realize that the play from SSP is to spam those bucklers. And so a witch with a shaman from Bu Boi could be the winning play. So let's see what the people decide to do. Oh no, Penny leaking here is horrible for their strategy here. Uh, And so this means that YoggYogg and Bu Boi probably goes for 19, but that puts a lot of pressure on SSP. Um, and if Penny holds that, they might hesitate, and then the pressure on SSP is less. But both teams decide to go for 20, and so let's see if people are preparing for 20. No, more red eyes. Well, I mean, red eyes are still good on 20 in the case of YoggYogg because all of his units that want to kill the boss is very low cost. So going for the expensive tank is still very good here. And also Bu Boi is just dead on 20, and I think they realize that if they don't see the sand coming, I think there will be a full push from Bu Boi because he's not holding anything here. Or maybe he tries to hold the best he can to try and help YoggYogg, but with his value and the units he has, he doesn't seem to have that much of a chance to hold wave 20. Yes, star colors are good, but apart from those star colors, he doesn't have much to speak of against the wave. Um, but they are not as under as Penny and SSP. SSP is also not holding wave 20. Yes, he might snipe the range send, but not really. But Penny is investing into a lot of front lines. So Penny is the one who will try to delay the longest with those iron scales. Iron scales are pretty much the best you can have as a tank on wave 20. Um, but it will be interesting to see what they decide to do. The long waves does benefit YoggYogg the most with his 37 workers, but it's also him that is hurt the most by the long waves because he doesn't have as much value. Or does he have as much value as the others? Well, Penny and SSP will be the one that has the lowest. We have more Pegasus for YoggYogg, so a lot of delays here trying to uh, have the targeter spam the spell, more Daphnes. Um, I mean, if you have a choice between Daphnes and Zeus, it's better to stop at 4 or maybe 5 Daphnes and go for additional Zeus because their damage from the spell and the basic attack does benefit from the Daphne a little bit more since Maccabeus is fortified armor. So it is a race. A lot of Millenniums coming out from SSP. And we do have the boost here from Penny, and the range sense snipe could be massive here with those iron skills if there are not a lot of shamans. The shaman is down here, so this means only the wish remain, and so no more attack speed boost. So he might be able to hold the longest because of that, but no, YoggYogg is just straight up holding the wave. So anything that will result here will be in favor of YoggYogg and Bu Boi because both Penny and SSP are leaking that, and this means that YoggYogg will stand tall in the middle, and SSP and Pennywise will lose this game to the Polish duo. So here was pretty much the battle between a lot of income versus trying to win the pressure. Like a lot of greedy play in the early game from YoggYogg, probably not punished as much as they should have. Like here, if you look at what SSP did here, we do have the 20 on 1 classic. They want to try and scale with income with YoggYogg and Bu Boi, but YoggYogg and Bu Boi do have the better builds to scale up. Penny expecting maybe a wave 4 send here, um, but got punished here on wave 3. And the Lizard League here from YoggYogg does benefit him the most because he knows he's strong next wave, and so he can already prepare for wave 5. And so here, what SP could have done is instead of going full here, yes, you leak him here, But if you go for 40 cent, then YoggYogg might still push those workers out of comfort because he sees that Bu Boi was starving SSP, so he might underestimate the amount of workers that SSP had. Um, and so going for a 40 cent here could have been fine. No leaks though. And so you could have resent here on wave 5 to surprise YoggYogg. Because you see that when you have a Daphne, yes, you see those bucklers, but uh, you do have the choice either to push and be aggressive or uh, build up and try to cover your weak wave. YoggYogg decided to not cover his weak wave and go for an aggressive push, knowing that he can build for wave 6, but exposes themselves to a wave 7. But due to the large worker lead that YoggYogg did have, he was able to income send and get those two veterans boost 1 and cover very well. Bu Boi doing very well, also considering that he had two Zeuses, but he had the canopy to off tank a lot of the wave, and was enough to just kill the majority of the wave. And Penny leaking to income send here, because he had this Orchid, but no real answer for. Well, we say no real answers for wave 7 does have the Badger, but those lizards are just perfect against any arcane defense that you can add, and also any swift armor that you can add. So even though it's income, it's probably the best play. And you see a lot more income on the side of YoggYogg and Bu Boi. Even though they lead them here, they do still have the income lead, and so it is not enough king damage to really compensate the amount of gold they lost here. Yes, we saw it was equal in terms of leaks, but in terms of income, YoggYogg and Bu Boi did have the advantage on that one here. And this is all because YoggYogg was able to greet those extra workers. And Bu Boi just decided to, you know what, I need this LOD, so I'm not going to push, and I'm going to push after the next set. So he did a very good job here to try to protect YoggYogg and his aggressive push, and that's probably the right play also. Like, YoggYogg is known to have an aggressive push when he can, and try to salvage what he can. And so if you're his teammate and you decide to go for a safer play, try to absorb your next send, then you can still catch up on workers by having your strong core units already deployed while protecting YoggYogg. And yes, you might leak your send because it's a long save on you compared to YoggYogg, that is. But you were stayed you stayed overvalue here. And so even though you had bad units here, um, you decided to prepare for wave 11, while YoggYogg did cover wave 10 with his units pretty well. He didn't fully cover, but his units were built to try and cover as best he can for Bu Boi. And so from that part here, it's just not enough king damage to compensate the long save compared to the income sense from YoggYogg and Bu Boi. And this was a very good hold for Penny and SSP on wave 12, only leaking the Centaur here, but I think that not going 13 here, yes, of course, YoggYogg is very strong in terms of damage on that wave, but both the team's front line is pretty bad on 13. Yes, they're close on value, but the front line is really the turning point here. You only have fortified on Bu Boi. You do have a nice mix on YoggYogg, but um, mostly arcane, mostly fortified. So yes, you have this damage. Yes, you have a decent front line. You might not have the decent Mythium, uh, but you just starve yourself so much here. And I do think that they underestimated their potential um, to scale up into the game. Yes, 14 can be good, but then the front line from both YoggYogg and Bu Boi start to regain value. So they could have sent, how much could they have sent? Maybe 400? And so if you send on YoggYogg, you see all this little damage. You want the mold first, right? You have a lot of fast attacking units in the Daphnes and the Zeus. So you want the mold first. So that's 120. You still have 380 to go, right? And so you can do a ram. Ram just negates and buy time for the wave to kill all the thing. And so 13 was a decent possibility here. Maybe ram was out of reach. I'm not sure. Maybe the mold you skip and you go for another 80, like possibly lizards or maybe 2 DTs. Nah, it's too risky to add those DTs because then the ram possibly is not getting targeted. So probably 2 lizards or a brute, one other thing. So there was a decent possibility to leak them on 13. I think it's a missed opportunity. After holding that, yes, you can skip a wave, but when the front line of YoggYogg and Bu Boi is strongest is 14, and you decide to go there, then you can see some issues here. Yes, it did work. Yes, it did almost kill them, but it would have been way better to go on them on 13 to maybe have yourself a shot on wave 16 here, where they were also weak in terms of frontline. So it's always, yes, they have the damage, but what is protecting the damage? And in this situation, the frontline was just non-existent on Bu Boi. Yes, he had the pyro, very good on wave 16, but 3 pyros without any frontline to buy time is just not that well, not that good. So I think it was just a missed call here on 14. And they were pretty good on 15 as well. So I think it's a miss opportunity here to not go 13. Yes, they go king up, but at least you stabilize the game, and you might expect them to go for king ups again. But as I explained, they have the front line here, and so that's why I think you bring the mission back to 0 on that. Nobody has any power over the others, and maybe you're able to push after this 180 king up then, because you do receive the income from your sand as well as the gold from the league. So I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity to just exploit the weak front line on 13 and 16. But overall, very well played by both team. And on that, I'm gonna say thank you for watching and see you